I,
Cool.
I
So at the end, it will be, you're not going to share the video, but you're going to share the article, and you're going
yeah,
to
I will show
use the video to.
yeah, but there might be snippets within the interview where maybe I'll just do a 15-second, 20-second. That could be like the introduction, and then the article
Sure.
will come after, right? Yeah. So
Okay.
let's start, right?
Okay.
Hi, Beata.
Hi, Alex.
Can you tell me a bit more about yourself and the business that you're in?
Sure. So my name is Beata. I'm Polish, and I'm a psychologist and life coach. And what I try to do in my day-to-day life is to make everything that I know really practical and available for other people as well, which is why I chose to connect psychology with life coaching. And because I'm an ex-athlete, I get bored really, really quickly. And I know now how to work with my mind, my attention, my focus and concentration to get to the results that I'm after, and to keep this long-lasting change and keep the motivation that will be the drive of my actions. And this is what I do, and I help with that particular thing to my clients, to maintain the motivation, to build up this confidence and sense of purpose, so they know exactly what they want, why they want it, and how to get that. But also I want them to feel authentic, and I want them to allow themselves to feel all the challenges, the struggles, the setbacks, and do not take it kind of like a push it on the side and turn your head away and say, I don't see it, but just take it, face it, and use the inner power and strength you have, your uniqueness, to overcome it in your own way, because this is what will help us build our better personalities and personal brands that we want to express and show to the world. So this is what I do.
Excellent. Is this something that you've been doing for a long time already, or is it something that you only started doing when you came to Singapore?
I was doing this back in Poland as well. So I moved to Singapore 7 years ago. But after graduating from psychology, I couldn't find exactly applicable way how I can use this old knowledge. So I went to study again for another 2 years of coaching, and that was life coaching, business coaching. And then I mixed it up together. I was working 2 years in psychology and coaching before I moved to Singapore. But before that, I was working in the real estate office. I was helping my mom to set up the different branches. So as soon as I moved to Singapore, I realized I have to kind of open my mindset to modify and adjust to different changes and challenges, because back in Poland I was much more passive and people were coming in, and in Singapore I realized that I'm getting a lot of attention because I'm different, but there was the trust issue that was missing. And even though people were looking at me, they were observing what I do and how I do it, they were still resistant to start the conversation and to share more, to open up and show their authentic selves and vulnerabilities. So I would say that I was in that particular field much earlier, but to get where I am now, definitely the move to Singapore was the main driver to kind of rediscover how I should really work within my industry.
And you mentioned that you are different. So in what way are you different? Because you are non-Singaporean, you are Caucasian, maybe you can share a bit more about that difference.
Visually, yes, because I'm non-Singaporean, I'm Caucasian, and I'm blonde, but mainly because of my energy. So in a very like a stereotypical thinking. Psychologists are quite reserved. They're much more, we are trained from the very first day when we study that we need to take a step back. We need to give a space to shine and to share whatever the client wants to share to other people. So we are taking a step back and we are just somewhere there where I don't have this energy. I want to be equal. I'm curious and I want to understand, and I ask for provoking questions, and I'm not scared of, challenging the status quo and getting us where we need to be instead of just listening and waiting for everything to come in its own time. I'm much more provocative and pushy with a sense of when knowing exactly when I need to take a step back a little bit.
Do they actually need to meet you in person or to know you before they can tell or sense this difference? Or is this very apparent in your website, right? Or is it in your social media? I know you just started a new website. We'll get to that in a bit. But how is this difference manifested? How do you think they know this difference?
I think they see it from the beginning. They don't have to meet me. Very often I get a comment that even on my photos are not really that posed, or they don't look like I'm in a photo studio and I'm just standing and smiling. All my photos are taken with some action, and I try to express the values and my mission as clearly as possible. So I want to make it messy. So even my website is a bit messy. Like I don't have everything nice. Like it is nicely organized, but even like a background is like a messy dot, like a pink or gray dot. So I don't want it to be obsessed about being perfect, right? I want to show others that it's all right to be the way you are, and we can use that to make the uniqueness even more shiny and bright and visible. So I think they see it from the graphics, from photos, but once they meet me, it's easier to see, and when we talk, it's easier for them to grab whether there is a match and there is a chemistry or no. So very often I also offer like a free introduction session or a call where we can just talk and see whether we want to work together or not. Because I believe also that, and maybe this is one of the other differentiation points, that I give myself an option to say no to people that I want to work with. So in general, in psychology and in clinics, when I was working for someone else, I didn't have this option. So I had to work with whoever came, and I wanted to help them, but I can sometimes feel like this is not my specialty. I don't feel that strong. I know exactly a person that I could recommend you to. And I know that they spend 10, 20 years only in that particular subject, right? So they know everything. And I have only the general knowledge, or maybe only on the surface. And I wasn't allowed to refer back then. But now when I set up my own business, my own rules, the intro session is for me as well. So very often it happens that people want to work with me, but then I need a little bit more time to feel like whether they are really at this commitment level that I want to work with them or not, or whether they are my ideal clients and that I feel like I will really get them to where they want to be, right?
And are all sessions, do you make sure that all sessions are video calls, or is a voice call sufficient for you to actually, they have to be video calls?
I have to, because very sometimes it happens that they want to do only voice call, but for the voice, we can't really build up this trust, and we need the trust to guide our decision later. So I want video. I want to see. I don't talk to robots, right? At the end, we will meet in the office, or if we will have sessions online, it has to be with a video. I can switch from the video to audio only sometimes with the clients that I have the relationship and the rapport established already, but not from the beginning.
Understand. Yeah. And your business is actually energizing goals. And is there any specific reason why you decided not to brand your business with your own name and to go with Energizing Goals instead?
I didn't want to use my name because that would be too difficult to pronounce for most people. And I wanted to, because they will know it's Beata, but Beata what, right? And then to pronounce my surname and to Google it and to type it correctly, that would be a hassle. So I didn't want to do that. And even now I see that I made a mistake with my brand name, that Energizing, there is a British pronunciation and there is a American pronunciation, right? And very often clients use the American, where I prefer British, and it's with S instead of Z, right? So that's a one tip. Like when you're choosing the name, make sure that it's universal for all languages. And I wanted to hire people who share the same values with me, and I want to build up later the community, the big team that maybe not necessarily I'm hiring those people, but I'm collaborating with them, and we all use our energy to get you to the goal that you want to achieve, right? That's why I wanted to have one name that will cover all of that, and it will allow me to grow instead of only me and that's it.
So how closely connected do you think this your personal branding should be to your business, or do you think that do you think it's not necessary to brand yourself and everything that you're doing is just geared towards Energizing Goals?
In my industry, I'm a service provider, and people need to trust me. They need to know me before they trust Energizing Goals. They need to know that the face and the persona behind the Energizing Goals. So I believe that I am very much connected, and Energizing Goals is me, right? That's why I want them to see that differentiation is my energy, that I will help them get there. But I wouldn't say that I want to, because there's conflictive thing that as a psychologist, we are also taught not to share our personal life. That so our clients don't judge our own skills, or they don't go into debate of what is good, what is wrong on a personal level, but they ask us from the expert level, right? So I can share my parenting style, but on an expert level, I would recommend something maybe different, right? And they can see the difference, and then they might be confused, which is why very often psychologists don't have the Instagram accounts, and they don't show their family. And quite often it happens also that people are, they cross the line. And it happened to me as well, that some of my clients crossed the line, and I don't want to show too much, right? I want to show something that I'm comfortable with. But back in Poland, I had also experience of someone trying to steal my identity, and it wasn't really, pleasant experience to later confront it, because it wasn't only stealing my identity as me as Beata, but it was me, Beata psychologist, right? And it was too harmful for my clients as well, and was affecting them a little bit. So I feel we need to show who we are, what we do from a business point of view, and we need to show what kind of human we are, but we shouldn't, especially if you're a psychologist or coach, to show too much of your own life. Yeah. That's why I took also a little bit different approach now with my Instagram, where I share more of my knowledge, skills, and approach, and I share my personal struggles, but I don't share the photos of my family anymore, because I believe that this is not the content people should keep in the long term, even though it attracts a lot of attention, So I get much more visibility when I post something about my family, because everyone wants to see a cute blonde baby. But they don't read what I want them to read. They don't get exactly deeper, as deep as I want them to go, right?
But
So now I took a step back a little bit from that.
I think that's a very, very fair point, right? Because a lot of the time, people want to, I mean, self-employed or people running their own businesses, entrepreneurs, they always say that, oh, but how much of my personal life do I share, you know? But then, you know, there is a fine balance between being authentic, right? Because if you don't share stuff in your personal life, then you're not being authentic. You're just creating a barrier, right? You're not being open, you're not showing vulnerability. But at the same time, where do you find that line to draw? And I think you've probably hit the nail in the head where you manage to say, okay, I share my struggles, right? Which shows you as a person, but that need not necessarily need you to be showing anything to do with your baby or your family or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
How did you come about to this conclusion or decision?
Observing the growth of my social media and asking myself how comfortable I feel sharing more. Because as soon as I started to grow, I feel like, okay, so this is working. This is what people want. So I will give them more, but I didn't want to give them more. It didn't sit well with me that I need to share more of my family life, right? That, you know, like I'm having the wedding anniversary and I should post it on Instagram that, yay, we are married 7 years. Hip, hip, hooray, right? And it's like, it doesn't tell anything about my business. Yes, I do work with couples as well, but it's not that I'm trying to attract another couple. So I don't want to share too much of what I feel or what is the particular date that I'm celebrating, right? But I can say last week was my wedding anniversary, and I felt really happy and disappointed at the same time. And I just want to show you that you may feel different feelings, different emotions at the same time, and that's okay.
So
Right?
it's about the way that it's communicated. You can say the same thing, but you use a different imagery. You say a different thing, but the message is the message that you want to create, right? I think that's a
Yes.
very powerful
Yeah.
solution that I will make sure that I put that down, right? Yeah, thank you. I mean, even for myself, right? Some people ask, you know, different platforms, right? Do you post different things on different platforms? And you know, how much of your personal life do you share? I've identified it to be that, okay, what are the key things that I want people to know me for, right? Okay, as a thought leader, in recovery and wellness, right? As an entrepreneur, right? And what are the things that I am doing in my day-to-day life that actually support these things that I want people to know me for? So that has so far been my strategy, right? And hopefully it works. I don't know. Even things like how has entrepreneurship taught me about fatherhood, you know, or how has fatherhood taught me about entrepreneurship, you know, all these things. There are different ways
Yeah.
to spin the content such that it becomes
True.
relevant for
And
somebody
we
else.
shouldn't really cut it, right? We shouldn't really put it in a different boxes completely and just close the box. Like, I'm a father now, I'm an entrepreneur now. Every single role and the hat we wear, it's like it's affecting the other role we are in, right? And it opens our eyes. It makes us more flexible. We get this psychological flexibility through the adjusting and understanding different roles. So as you said, like, I feel much stronger entrepreneur now once I'm a mother, but I wouldn't say I'm the best mother and I want to now give a parenting tips, right? But because I know all my struggles and I know how I'm going with them and managing it, I'm okay to share both sides of the story.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like we're an expert in parenting, or it's not like we're an expert in something, but through our experiences, this is what we felt worked for us, and therefore we share it, right? So I think, yeah, that's definitely
Yeah.
the way to go, right? What about community building, right? This
Mm-hmm.
whole thing that we started talking about was stemmed from my article in, the what, why, and how of community building. What do you understand with the term community building?
For me, community building is giving people the thought-provoking content and the right to self-express their own reflections and struggles. But to do that, I believe we need to create a safe environment, and we need to build this sense of trust as well.
Okay, and I mean, how would you define your community with your business? Do you think that your community is uh, your clients, or do you think your community is your partners, collaborators, or the people that you work closely with? Or I don't know. Maybe you can help with that.
I think my community, from what I observed, because I didn't really put enough thought when I was starting it, right? What exactly I want to achieve, who should be in my community, but it kind of grew naturally, and I can see now that in my community there are people who want to get psychology, like, who wants to see psychology being practical, and who wants to find and identify the growth areas and find the answer to how to. And very often those are people who I collaborate with, but these are, I would say, like a 30%. Another, I would say 50% are those who want to get some ideas, tips, but they cannot afford those services. And the remaining 20-30% would be my clients, right? But I wouldn't focus only on attracting or talking to my clients. Yes, I want to give them more. Yes, I want to maintain the connection, conversation, and keep pushing for the growth and giving them exactly what they need. But I want to make psychology available. I want to break the stigma of seeing it as something that it's wrong with you. Something is wrong with you if you struggle. Something is wrong if you don't know the answers. Like, I have so many questions that I don't know the answer for, and I'm still learning to be okay with that and grow to find the answer, right? So I'm trying to show others, and my main focus is this 50% who cannot afford my services. Like, they cannot have the individual sessions, but I want to give them and upskill their their attitude and coping skills, to give them something that they will feel that they're growing. And if they're growing, maybe one day they will be able to come to me as a client. But if not, I still want to have a connection and relationship with them.
Do you explicitly, or is there anywhere that you explicitly say that, oh, this is the community that I'm building, and this is the vision, this is the alignment, these are the values, and join me if you want to be part of this? Do you explicitly say anywhere, any of this?
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. and when I saw the topic of our conversation, I was like, community building, am I good at community building? Like, I have no idea. And then I started to make my brain sweat a little bit to find the answers. And I think I should communicate it, that this is what I do, and I do it for you, for all of you, to actually get more, right? Because I do it naturally, but I just do it without any communication, without any invitation, and just waiting for people to find me, kind of. But maybe if I would say it straight away, that join me if you believe, if you agree with me that this is the right approach, then join and take as much as you can for yourself from it.
Oh, good. Yeah, at least that spurred you on to think a bit more about the community building
Mm-hmm.
aspect.
You
Yeah.
provoked my growth now.
But do you do you even think that building a community is necessary now that we've had this conversation, that you've looked at the questions beforehand? Do you think that community building is necessary for, if you were to turn the rewind, right, would you have put community building as one of the things that you would have planned ahead of, rather than now it has been very organic?
I would. I would, but I know why I resist. Why I was like, I don't want to do that, because there are two elements. One, I resist because most of the information about community building is about how to upsell, and I don't care about selling. This is not in my code of ethic to keep taking some actions that will make me earn more money. My main principle is to give to others, right? And very often when I see these models of how to build a community, so then later you can turn it into more sales, I'm like, you lost me. I'm not buying it, right? So when I Google that, I didn't like what I saw. And because very often behind nice, good words, there is still kind of a money, right? And I don't want that kind of copy this approach. But also what was holding me back is my own fear that I didn't know how I can give more if I haven't overcome my own fears. And my fear, and in all decisions that we make, the fear is the primary aspect that is holding us back. And the fear is stopping our commitment. And my fear was that I don't want to record any videos, that I'm afraid that somehow some people might watch my video and then they will say, oh my God, who is she? Like, I will never trust this person, right? I was scared of this judgment. And I wasn't scared that someone will judge me as Beata, but someone will judge me as a Beata psychologist. So this was something that was holding me back. And I remember when I moved to Singapore, I had so many ideas of what I want to do, and I found a way of how to do it. And I even got, like, for a Christmas gift, my husband bought me the microphone so we can attach it to the camera and we have a good equipment to, for me to take some good videos and record. And for 7 years, it was waiting for me to unbox it. Right. And I really, I just opened it and I was like, oh, very nice, very nice. And as soon as I hold it in my hand, I was like, oh, so now I have to record a video. No. And I waited 7 years. And I only opened the box again a month ago. And I started recording videos. So only when I was ready to overcome my own fears, to face it and take action despite of the fears, with the fear, change the fear to be the energy driving me to take the action, right? And now I'm ready to build the community. Now I'm ready to talk about it. Now I'm ready to take next actions and plan how I'm building it. Why, what's my why, and how I'm going to deliver what I want, right? And if I get more sales, great, but I'm not doing this to get sales.
Yeah. I think that it's probably a huge misconception for many, including yourself, from the beginning, where when people talk about community building, it's about sales, right, and generating more leads. Yeah. So, I mean, you know the work that we do at Kampong Collective, right? And you know that everything that we're doing is non-revenue generating. It's more about the why. It's more about the building of trust, and it's more about the long-term authenticity that we want to create, not just for ourselves, but also the people that are within the group or the respective communities. And I mean, so now that you say that you realize that this is something that you should be doing, have you in your mind, or have you already planned some active steps that you would be taking to grow this 50%? To grow the followers, or the number of people that are actually wanting to digest or read the sort of information that you are sharing?
I want to set up a group that they can get access and and they can find access to every single resource from that within that group. Because I notice now that I do some videos and some Instagram lives once a week, right? I do some videos and sometimes they are saved on Instagram, sometimes not. Sometimes I just forget about saving them and downloading and they are just gone, right? Forever. So whoever watched it live, they are lucky ones. And then the other ones are like, oh, sorry, too bad. And I don't want people to keep jumping, like, I don't know, follow my YouTube channel that I'm about to set up and Instagram and then Facebook and then something, because for me it's also too much to navigate and moderate and be active in. So once I have connected all those accounts, I think I want to invite people, come and join this group. At that platform you will get the links, you will get access, and you will get some updates of what's happening on all other. So the only thing that you want to use is this group. And from this group I want them to see that they're actually, the number of people are growing, and that the number of people who want to get more, who are hungry of finding out how they can improve something or just keep doing what they do and keep the motivation, these numbers of people are growing, right? So that they don't feel alone. I don't want to have a group where I have to moderate some discussions and I have to engage in a being moderator of that too much, but I want the group where they can observe, they can take a passenger seat, they can just be a passive, but I will keep sharing with them. I will provoke them to think, because for me the most important is to be able to open up this box of self-reflection so they can reflect and take it in. What they do with the information later, it's up to them and whenever they are ready. So I don't want to force them to keep communicating on this group, right? First self-reflection and then self-expression whenever they feel that they are ready. But I want them to have access to my free webinars when they can upskill their own skills and approach, right? The articles and everything else. And I also want to introduce some other people that I believe doing really great work.
So it would be, sorry, you were saying?
So it would be actually like the whole conversation started, like today's conversation started my thinking process of how I can make sure I'm making the psychology more available to more people, right? So I will connect all of these channels. Yeah.
And it would be, from what I'm hearing, is more one way, right? Where you will be pushing out content and sharing, and you will not be moderating or facilitating. Then how do you engage then? How do you get the conversation or discussion going if it's going to be just one way?
It's going to be two-way, but it's not going to be, it's going to be quiet two-way, kind of, because I want to listen. I want to get what they want to share, but they don't have to share it publicly. So they can share it with me on a private message, or I will ask some questions and they can mark the answer, but they don't have to feel that they have to comment it. If they want to, they can, right? But I want to first set up a platform where they can share something, but still kind of confidentially. So this part will be still important to me, that whenever they're not ready to express something or ask a question in public, they can communicate with me individually, and then I will address, maybe answer some of the questions. I record a video and post it to the group.
Right, understand. Okay, that makes a lot of sense, especially with the specific work that you're doing, right? Yeah. And
because that's really sensitive, all the information, and very often people take it from the wrong perspective, and even when we ask a question to just deepen the knowledge, others may assume that we lack of really basic information, and they may judge us for that, and I don't want this to happen, right?
Is there like an end goal that you would like to hit with the community building efforts, or even with your business, right? Or is it just going to be a case of, oh, let's see where it takes me, or let's see where it takes us?
I think it's too soon for me to see the end goal. I
Mm,
want to see how I grow
mm,
doing that. And I want to see where else the need will be for people. Because there's never end goal with psychology, right? We can always get more understanding, more awareness. And there will be always some struggles. Like with a pandemic now, we have so much more stress and anxiousness, and we struggle so much, but we are kind of, we don't have the private space that we used to have to cope with it and to really manage it. And I want to give people what they need, which means that I will have to be there and listen and stay open and observant and keep hearing what actually are their needs, right? I don't
and
want to
mhm.
base my growth and success on my assumptions only.
Okay, and how would you if there were people who wanted to start a business, or self-employed entrepreneur,
Mm-hmm.
what sort of tips would you give, or any blind spots that they should avoid
Mm.
if they were to want to start uh, going on or using community building as part of their brand strategy, or even part of building their business?
Notice what holds you back and why it is. Because I knew exactly what holds me back 7 years ago. And despite of other people telling me that, oh, don't worry, no one will judge you, no one will do this and that, no one guided me and was interested enough to let me go deeper in those fears, to let me face it. People were trying, and people who had the best intentions, they were trying to take me out of this and tell me, oh, don't worry, it will pass, it's not that important. And they said my worries are not valid, that my worries are actually just silly, right? But as soon as I started to grow my own confidence within the last 7 years, I built up my ego as being, I'm good at what I do, and people value that. And only this allowed me to have this access to strength to face the fear and say, I don't want to do anything with this fear, but I want to take this action. So if it means that I'm taking fear with me, let's do it, right? So there is also this thinking that I have to face it first, overcome it first, and then I can move on, right? Not necessarily. But I think once we notice what holds us back and why, and we have someone to help us understand what we are ready for now to do with it, then we can set up some actions and then we can take actions.
Yeah, I think that's a super, super good tip, right? Because for myself, let me use myself as an example. When um, 12 months ago, 1 year ago, someone asked me to start writing on Medium, right? Write articles. But
Mm-hmm.
my mindset was that, who am I to write anything? Who's going to read
Mm-hmm.
whatever I'm pushing out,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
suddenly, during this circuit breaker, I am uh, inspired or motivated, and suddenly I'm writing stuff, right? And at this point, I don't care whether people read it or not. At this point, I feel that I've had a time in my life through the experiences that I've had that, hey, this is something that I feel for. I'm just going to put it down and just share it, right? So
Mm-hmm.
one thing is, you're right to say understanding what is holding you back. Second thing is, it's also the right, to put it very simply, it's like his time will come or her time will come, right? But
Mm-hmm.
that is also a little bit too what do you call it? One track mind, because to
Mm-hmm.
say that his time will come, his time might never come, right? So by
And
identifying,
we may wait for it all the time, right?
yeah. So, but by identifying what it is that is holding you back, at least you are aware, and you are. I think self-awareness is also key, right? You're aware, and
Mm-hmm.
for some reason, somewhere along the way, the time will come, and you will know that it is ready. And for me, I knew that now is the time. I mean, I didn't know that now is the time, but then for some reason, I just didn't feel that there was anything holding me back anymore. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. because we were taken out of our routine of
Mm.
getting busy, right? And exactly that, when you started to write things down, I started to record, right? Just because I was out of my routine as well, of being busy, helping clients, having individual sessions, corporate workshops, webinars. And then I suddenly kind of slowed down and I was like, okay, what else? What else was on my list? What else I wanted to do? What else is missing that I could do with my own expertise in life, right? How I can reach more people who struggle and I know that they cannot get the help now. And this is what kind of made the time right.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we need to give ourselves more of those breaks from the routine. And I'm not talking only about holidays, right? Because
Mm.
holidays are one where we just want to relax and don't think about work and our own struggles.
More
But
like
taking
a
ourselves
retreat of
from,
sorts, right? Yeah.
mm-hmm.
A work retreat. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's something that I don't have the luxury of doing. Yeah.
yeah. And I think very, very often we don't have this, we don't see it as a essential, right? That's why we don't allocate any resources, time and effort and money into that.
And
But pandemic made us, right?
how long do you think this retreat or break out of the routine should be before for it to be to have some success, right? 2 days,
10
3 days.
day 10 days minimum.
Oh wow, 10 days.
Yeah,
Okay.
because within 2-3 days we start to get more like a lazy, and we
Mm,
just want to lay back down and just relax,
mm,
recharge.
mm,
And we allow ourselves for more of the self-care
mm-hmm,
to recharge the batteries. So then we have at the back of my mind this mindset that, so I recharge now to go back and do more later in my own
mm,
routine, right? But if you're taken out of your routine, then you start to wonder and you give yourself more space to actually think about different things, right?
mm, mm,
I think something like that could be even done actually remotely. Like maybe something like this you could do online, to, let's say, every evening for 2 or 3 hours we get a people to stay online with their video of course on, and they just are bombarded with thought-provoking exercises, topics, and they have to think about themselves and they have to kind of detach from the routine. But it can't be done within 60 minutes. I think at least 2 or 3 hours.
Well, it sounds like quite a tall order and requires quite a lot of discipline from the individual, right? Because you have a WhatsApp chat that comes out, oh, you check it, you've got an email that comes
Mm-hmm.
in, you check. Yeah, but I think the retreat thing definitely works. Hey, it's something that you should consider for your, what's it called? Your energizing retreats, what they call?
Yeah, fit chill out
Fit chill
retreats.
out. Yeah.
So it's training body and mind. Yeah,
Is that
but
what it's supposed to be doing?
to
Okay,
connect
okay.
body and mind. So you train your body, so your mind has no energy to overthink. And once it has any energy to think, you actually direct the thoughts into the right paths or directions where you want to focus and grow. So this is what fit chill out is doing. But now, because all the travels are kind of on hold and no one is traveling, I'm thinking how I can do it remotely and still guarantee people the outcomes that they want to get.
Well,
Right?
that's gonna be quite difficult or quite challenging.
It will be.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
won't be. I think taking people physically out of their environment is much, much more effective.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
Yeah.
we've come to the end of the
Mm.
chat. Is there anything
So
else that you would
quick.
like to share or say?
I wrote down a few things that I wanted to share.
Okay.
I wrote down the actions that I do, because when I was Googling this all the community building, right, I saw so many actions and ideas that I didn't like that it made me come up with my own that I really like. So I can read you those, okay?
Please.
So the whole main goal for me is to transform the way we think and we work and we exercise, the way we live, right? And transform, I don't want to necessarily say that I want guide people to change, because sometimes change means no change at all, right? Sometimes it means acknowledging where we are and becoming finally happy with where we are and what we have in life. So to get that, I want to make psychology available. And how I do it is to provide valuable content to others, provoke them to think, and kind of show them all the myths and truth and false, what's working, what doesn't work, what are the common beliefs that are keeping us trapped, and empower to open up to this self-reflection, and also encourage them to self-expression later, train them so they can get upskilled, and also to listen. So these are the actions that I came up with.
Very good.
Yeah.
That will all go down in my article. Thank you very much.
Okay. Point.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna end the end the recording, but we can continue talking. Okay.